We begin today the Gemara on Daf Kuf Ches Amud Beis, the second line from the top, going up from the bottom of the Yomad. Nachum Ish Gamzu. This is the famous story of Nachum Ish Gamzu. The Gemara before brought here what it says, what happened by Avram and Eliezer when they went to fight with all the kings, that the sand that they had turned into swords and arrows. So similar happened by Nachum Ish Gamzu. Sagt the Gemara, Nachum Ish Gamzu. This name, by the way, Gamzu, some Rishonim say that there was actually a place in Eretz Yisrael that had the name of this city, Gamzu, or something similar, Gimzu, something like that. But he also got this name because of what he used to always say, Gamzu l'teiva. So Havaragil, the Chol, the Havasalikle, whatever happened to him, Omar, he would say, Gamzu l'teiva. This is also for the good. What happened one day is, Bo Yisrael l'shaduri doiron l'keiser. The Yidden will look to send a gift to the Caesar, to the king. Amri, they said, Bahadi man nishadeh. With who should we send this? We have to find the right person to deliver this. So they said, Nishadeh, Ba'ad Nachum Ish Gamzu. We're going to send it with Nachum Ish Gamzu. The Melumid ben Nisimhu. He's accustomed to miracles. So he's carrying this chest, which has these precious gems and this gift for the king. When he came to this inn, he wanted to stay there overnight and go to sleep. The people in the inn asked him, what are you carrying here with you? He told them, I'm bringing taxes or a gift for the king. So he wasn't afraid to tell them the honest truth. Nachum Ish Gamzu, whatever the Eibusha gives him is all for the good. So he told them exactly what it is. Kama Balelia, middle of the night, they got up, Sharinu L'Sifte, they untied the knot of this chest, Vishaklu, called the Havagabe. They took everything that's inside, Umalinu Afra, and instead they filled it with sand. He comes to the Caesar and he gives them the gift of the Yidden, Ishtakach Afra. They discover that it's all sand. Omar, the Caesar says, Achuchi, Kamachayche, B'Yehudai. The Yidden are mocking me. This is the gift that they give me. Afkul and Miktalei. They took him out. They were going to kill him for this. Omar, Nachum Ish Gamzu says, Gamzu l'teiva. This is all good. Asaliyo, and he comes, and he appeared to them, as one of the ministers or generals of the king. Amalahu, and he says to them, Dilme, hi Afre, me Afre da Avram Avinu. Maybe this is the same sand that Avram Avinu used when he was fighting his war. Da Avashali Avre, Afre, that is when he threw the sand, Havacharbi, turned into swords. Gili, he had straw, Havagiri, it turned into arrows. So Badok, they took it out and they used it and they tried it. Va'ashkechu, that Hachi Hava. That this is what a taka was. It was arrows and swords. There was, Ashkahachi, this is what they discovered. There was this area, that the king was fighting there and they could not conquer this place. They threw from this sand that Nachum Ish Gamzu brought, the Kafshua, and they were able to conquer this place. So after this, they brought him into the treasure house of the king. They told him, take whatever you want. So Malye Lesifte, he filled up his chest, dav, full of gold. Now, Kihadar, when he was on his way back, and he came back to the same inn. Also, he came, Omrulei, they said to him, Hanach the Yuri, the ones that are there in that inn, Mai Amtaslibe Malka. What did you bring to the king? So again, Nachum Ish Gamzu, everything is simple, clear. He said, honestly, Amaluhu, Mai Deshakli Mahocha, Am Tila Hasam. What I took from here, what I got from here, the sand from here is what I brought to the king. So then these people heard that their sand has this power to be swords and arrows, shakli, So they went and took from their sand. And amtulas, they brought it to the king as well. And obviously they tried out the same sand and it did nothing. Katlino lahanach the yuri. And then these ganovim from this inn were all killed. That's the story, the famous story of Nachum Ish Gamzu. So the Rebbe once explained that Rabbi Akiva, which was a student of Nachum Ish Gamzu, what did he say? Kol ma da'avad rachmana l'tav avid. So it's different. Nachum Ish Gamzu, which was his Rebbe, said an expression which is a level higher. Because Kol ma da'avad rachmana l'tav avid is saying that what's happening now is negative. But it will lead to something good. And I'm not questioning Hashem. Gamzu l'tav is saying even more. This itself, the negative itself is be'emes, be'pnimi is good, as it was revealed and expressed over here. When a person really, really believes it, it actually comes out, that this itself ends up becoming good. Going back to the Mishnah, it said, Deir afloge ein lem chelik lo lem abacholo. So what's the story with this Deir afloge? My Ovid, what exactly did they do? Omri de Bei Rab Shila, by Rab Shila they said about them, that they said, Omri, the Bach adds, Nivne Migdal, let's build a tower, and Venala L'Rekia will climb up to the heavens, and Venakaisa B'Kardumais, and we'll hit it with our axes. Why? K'deshizuvu Meimav, so that the water should come out. Either the Pshat is, I think the Marsha says that they wanted the water to come out in order to have rain for themselves, and then we shouldn't have to rely on Hashem for rain. We'll get our rain on our own with our axes. Or the point is that they said that apparently there's a lot of water stored up there that once in a while the heavens open up and it brings a mabel. So let's get that rain to come out before it's going to be too much that's being stored up there, so we'll avoid a mabel. So this is the pshat they said, that Rav Shila said. Machkala b'marava. In Marava, they laughed at this pshat. They didn't accept this. And they said, Imkain, if this is what the Deir Afloga was about, so livno echad betura. They should be building this tower, or this the Migdal on a mountain. Where did they build it? In Bavel, in a valley. But if they want to go up to Shemayim for this purpose, to reach Shemayim in order to get out the water, why in a valley? So therefore, Ella, some are good, some not good. Ella, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Elazar, that really there was Nachkul Gimel Kittis. There were three different groups here that were building this Migdal, the tower. Achasei Meres, there's one group that was saying, Nale v'neishiv sham. Let's build a tall tower and we're going to go up there and we're going to live there. What was bad about this? So the Marsha's explanation on the Gemara is, they said that the Eibush is going to bring a Mabel. We're smarter than him. We could avoid that Mabel. We'll build this tall tower and we'll live up there and we won't drown. Another one said, we'll go up there and serve Avodah Zarah. We're not going to just serve Avodah Zarah here below. We're going to go up in a massive big tower, the most public, everyone should see serving Avodah Zarah. And another group said, that we're going to go up and fight and make a milchama with the Eibishter. So Zushay Meres Nalav Sham, the one that says we're going to go up and live there and we'll be safe. The Eibishter showed them they're not safe anywhere. Hafetzam Hashem, the Eibishter scattered them around all over the world. The Zushay Meres Nalav Milchama, the one that says that we're going to go up and fight. So Nasuk Koifim, they turned into monkeys, Veruchais, or into these, they lost their physical body altogether. They became into the spirit of a Shadim, a Shindalid, of a Lilin. Lilin is some other kind of creature. Rashi says it's a Tsuras Adam that has wings. The Gemara brings this in Masechta Nida. And then the Zusha Meres Nalav and Avad Avedis Kechavin, the one that says we're going to serve Avodah Zarah. So for them, the pasuk says Kisham Bal Hashem Sfas Kol Haaretz. The Eibishter changed their languages. They couldn't communicate with one another, and they weren't able to communicate together to serve Avodah Zarah. So this is according to the opinion of Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Elazar. Another pshat the Gemara brings Tanya. Rab Nasa Noimer Kulon l'shem Avodas Kechav Niskavnu. They were all there for one thing, to serve Avodah Zarah. Why? Because Ksiv Vacham Nasalon L'shem. Let's make for ourselves a shame, a name. Ksiv Hasam v'shem Alehim Acherim Lo Yisaskiru. So it says here also by Avodah Zarah the term shame. Mal Alan Avodas Kechavim Afkan Avodas Kechavim. The term shame refers to Avodah Zarah. Amar Rabbi Yechanan, what happened to this massive tower? Migdal, Shlish, Nisraf, a third of it was burnt. Shlish Nivla, a third of it was swallowed or absorbed, it sunk into the ground. And Shlish Kayam, and a third of it still exists. Right, so the top third, which was burnt, and then the middle part is still there. And the lower part was sunk in the ground. Amar Rav said about this, Aver Migdal, that area, where this migdal is, mashkach, causes one to forget. You look in that area, it'll cause you to forget the Torah that you learned. It's like Zayda on this place that just like then they forgot their language. So it's Bechlal in that time, even later on. In that area you forget. Rav Yosef says, Bavel Borsif, these two cities of Bavel and Borsif, this doesn't refer to the entire Bavel, but it's actually two cities in Bavel, and they're right near each other, Bavel and Borsif, Simin Ra'ala Torah. It's a bad simon for one that learns Torah, that you go there, it's in that area where there's the airspace of this tower that was built, you forget the Torah that you learned. My Borsif, what's the meaning of the name Borsif? Amar Abasi Bar Shafi, an empty pit. which means it's a place that was emptied out, like what happened over there, that they forgot everything. And similar, Rashi says, Bavel also means Bilbil. The Eibishter was Mavalvel. He confused their language, that they forgot everything. So that's
comes from that.
that's according to one shot, that's what the name Bavel is. It refers to two cities, Bavel and Borsif. Huh? Mesechtes?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Anshe Sedaim. Moving on to the people of Zdaim, they also don't have a chelik and olam haba. What was the story with the people of Zdaim? So here the Gemara is going to go through all the details about how wicked the people of Zdaim were. Tana Rabbanan, we learned in the Braise, Anshi Zdaim ein lehem chelik olam haba, shenema v'anshi Zdaim roim v'chatam l'Hashem ma'od. This is the same drasha it said in the Mishnah, roim b'olam haza. Roim refers to them being bad in this world, and v'chatam means also l'olam haba, that they lost also their olam haba. Some say that in the Mishnah it says Ein Lahem, Lashon Zachar, and in the Braise it says the same drasha as the Mishnah, but it says Ein Lahen, Lashon Nekeva as well. Rav Yehuda says Ra'in means Begufam, the bad was with their behavior with their bodies. V'chataim means B'mamainam, Chataim is with their money. Ra'in Begufam, where do I see that Ra'im is regarding the behavior with their bodies? The Pasuk says Ve'eich Esa Ra G'dayla Zayis V'chatasi Le'lekim. So he uses, this is Yosef by Potiphar, the wife of Potiphar. He says to her, how could I do this thing, to have a relation with her, and it'll be a ra gedayla. So we see the term ra means a bad behavior with the body. And v'chatam b'memainam, chatam means with their money, that it'll be a sin for the Eibishter. And it's talking over there about a person by Shemitah that thinks that he can even eat from the produce of Shemitah, meaning that this is an aveda with money. Then when it says Lashem, Zu Birchas Hashem. Lashem means that the opposite of blessing Hashem's name. And then it says Ma'oid. The term Ma'oid means Shemiskavnim v'chaitim. That they sinned not only for their own benefit, but of tzalachis. They had kavanah to rebel against Hashem. The Masnita Tana Nabraisi we learned, it says an opposite pshat. Ra'im actually, when it says the word Ra'im, it means Mamainam, with their money. V'chatayim, the term Chet means Begufam, with their bodies. Ra'im b'Mamainam d'chsev Ra' eincha b'achicha evyain. You have a bad eye on a brother, a poor individual. So that's regarding money. V'chatayim means Begufam, d'chsev v'chatasi le'lekim. And then Lashem, as we dashed before, Zu Birchas Hashem, the opposite of blessing Hashem's name. And when it says Ma'oid, Zu Shvichas Damim, spilling blood. Shenema kidam noki shafach menasha harbe ma'oid. So there it uses the term regarding shvichas damim. It uses the term ma'oid. V'gaimer. Tana Rabbanan, in a Braise we learned Anshe Zdaim loinus go. The people of Zdaim, they were very arrogant. Why? Only Ella b'shvil toiva sheshpil lem hakadosh baruch hu, because the abundant goodness that Hashem gave them. Maksiv them. What does it say regarding the goodness that Hashem gave them? Eretz mimena yetzi lechem. From here, there's a lot of bread. V'tachteo nepach kama yesh. But then the ground under them turned into a fire. Mokim sapir. It was a place where it was sapphire stones. Avoneho. The rocks were sapphire. Va'afrei zahov. The dust was gold. Loi nisiv. Loi yadu. That a pathway in it. Lo yada ayit. That is the ayit, which refers to it's a mashal for a guest. Could find no pathway into this place. Say ayin ayah. An ayah cannot put its eye in it. Lo yidrichu b'nei shachatz. Animals. Shachatz refers to animals cannot come there. And lo yada olav shachal. And a lion can't pass through there. This is all the pasuk speaking about the people, the place of Zdaim, where they had all the abundant goodness and riches for themselves. And it's given the Mishalim in the pasuk that they didn't allow any guest to come through. Amru, the people of Zdaim said to themselves as follows: Look, we have everything. We have bread and gold. So what do we need people to come through our city, our country here to take from us? They're coming to take away from our possessions, from our money. Let us make it forgotten that there should be any custom of anybody walking through our land. Shenem, as the pasuk says, also a pasuk that is taiched on Sedaim, Paratz Nachal Me'im Gar. Hashem opens up the stream of fire that came from the source of where the fire usually is dwelling, which is above. Haneshkach and Mini Regel, because they made forgotten the feet of guests to walk through their place, and therefore what happened to them is Dalu me'enesh no, that these people, they were moved away, they were removed from mankind. The city got turned over and they were completely destroyed. Darash Rav, another pasuk Rav Darshan on the people of Zayim Ma'idach Sev. The pasuk says that Ona to Haisusu Al ish teratzcho kulchem kekir notoi gaderat chuya. Until when will you be in this way that the people are going to look? Tahisusu means you're going to look for these deceptive ways of how to kill a person. And how do they do this? By kir notui and gaderat chuya. What does this mean? So the Gemara Darshans, Malamed, his teachers, what they would do is as follows. They would see this person that had a lot of money. And then they would have him sit by a wall that was a shaky and not safe place. And then they would push him at this wall. And then the wall would collapse on him and it would kill him. And then when they would come and take his money, they would even blame him. They would say, "Oh, look, he broke this wall, and therefore he has to pay for this." And they would take all this money away from him. That's what it means. That this wall that was not safe, they pushed him at it, and then they took all his money. Another pasuk, the pasuk says, "Chota b'choshech batim." They in darkness they dig tunnels under the homes. Yoimam, during the day, chitmu lamai lo yadu oyer. What does this mean? How do they come to find people's treasures in their houses at night to dig and steal it? They would look at and find those people that have a lot of money. And now what they would do is, they would give him an afar samain to hold this afar samain for me. How do they translate afar samain there? It's some kind of
persimmons.
Persimmons, okay. And now this afar samain is something that has a very strong and good aroma. Now, this person, that's a rich person that they gave this afar samain to hold for them, would place it over there in their treasures. Now, then at night, so the people that gave this afar samain, they came, they would snuff it out like a dog that's coming to smell, and they would follow the smell to see where this afar samain is, and then they would break into the treasure house to take all this money. Shenem, as the pasuk says, Yeshuva la'era, they would come back at night. Yemu kakalav, they're like roaring, they're like barking like dogs, meaning they're coming and smelling like the dogs. V'yisoivu ir, and would go around in the city. And then they came, and they would dig there, and they would steal the money. And that's what the pasuk there is saying. They would come by day very innocently here. I just need you to hold me this afar samain. And that by night they would came back and took all their treasures. The pasuk says, and this refers also to Staim, that Aram halachu, the poor people that came through there would be walking around. They had no clothing to wear. They took away their clothing. Mimbli levush. Ve'ein kasas bakara. They had nothing to cover themselves, even in cold. And also another pasuk in the people of Zdaim, Chamer Yisaimim, the donkey of the orphans, Yinagu. They would take it from them, and Yachbul Ushair Almana. They would also take as a collateral the ox that belonged to an Almana. Gvulois Yasigu, the borders of the properties, they would do asagas gavul, they would expand their borders into other people's properties, eider gazlu v'yiru, and they would go with their cattle into other people's properties to graze there. And the vuhu, another pasuk also on Sedaim, vuhu l'kvares yuval, they would bring the people there, they would kill, they would bring them to be buried, val gadish yishkait, and they would very quickly bring their dead people to throw them on piles to bury them there. Now here, regarding this story that was mentioned, how they would go and find a place of money and treasure from the rich people that they gave them this afar samain. Darish Rabbi Yesi b'tzipayrin, Rabbi Yesi in Tzipayri, so he darshan this that they used to do, and then what happened is achatran ahi lelia klas meya machtarta b'tzipayri. Apparently, by the shir of Rabbi Yesi, there were ganavim that were listening to what he was saying, and they got this idea. So they also did the same thing. They gave people in Tzipayri this afar samain, and then that night 300 homes were broken into, and they used this deception. So also they came back to Rabbi Yossi and they figured out that it was because of what he said that these ganavim got this idea, and so they said to Rabbi Yossi, "It's all your fault." They were causing pain to Rabbi Yossi for this, that he caused this. Amrulei, they said to him, Yavis Orche leganvi. You invite ganavim to listen to what you're saying, and you're giving them these ideas. Amalahu, he said to them, did I know that ganavim are coming to listen to the shir that I said? I didn't know that these ganavim are listening to what I'm saying. Now here the Gemara says that Kanach Nafshi Rabbi Yossi, when Rabbi Yossi passed away in the city of Tzipayri, Shafa Marzavid Tzipayri Dama. The gutters of Tzipayri, where the water usually flows, was flowing with blood. because he was a very great person. The Gemara is not bringing you this here. It's not connected really to the story before, but Rashi says it's bringing it here to say that although Rabbi Yossi suffered and he had this from the people of Tzipora that gave him problems, but nevertheless the truth is he was a very great person. So the Gemara, Amri, in the city of Tzdaim, they would say as follows: the Isle Chat Tura, one that owns one ox, Mari Chad Yoime. So he has the job to take out the oxen of the city to pasture for just one day. The Lesle, one that doesn't own any oxen, so then let him do this for 2 days. And they were simply saying this: listen, you don't have your own, so you're not so busy, so then you have more time, you can do for 2 days and do the service for the city. But this was really a cruel thing, that someone that has nothing of his own, he has to go and do work for everybody for the city for 2 days. So that was Ahu Yasma, Bar Malta, this orphan, son of a widow, Havale Ture Lemire. He had this ox to take out for the pasture. Azul, so in other words, Havale, that is. He had none of his own, actually. They gave him theirs, right? They gave him theirs to take out, that he should do for them the job of taking out the oxen, and he has to do double 2 days. So Azul, he was very upset about this. He went, Shaklinu, he took their oxen, Vikatlinu, and he killed it. Amar Lahu, then he says to the people of the city, anyone that owns one ox, Sanishko Chad Meshche, let him take on the hide of only one animal, of one ox. The Lesle Tura, one that doesn't own any ox, Nishkol Trei Mashche, he can get double. He'll get 2 hides of the oxen that I killed. Amrulei, so they said to this orphan that killed the oxen, my high, why are you saying this? That one that doesn't own gets double. Amalahu, so he said, this is Sedaim here. Sedaim, everything is upside down, and therefore Seiv Dina, Ketchilas Dina. We're going to judge in the end regarding taking these hides, like what the minig here in Sedaim was in the beginning. Mat Chilas Dina, just like the judgment in the beginning, and the minig in this city was the Islay Tura, one that owns an ox, Mari Chad Yaime, he has to take out the pasture just for 1 day. The Leslay Tura, one that doesn't own anything of his own, Mari Trey Yaime, they force him that he has to do it for double for 2 days. I've saved Dina over here as well. When I killed it, now who gets from the hides of the animal? It's the same thing. This is the Chad Tura, the one that owns, Lishkol Chad will take only one. The Lesle, one that doesn't own, Ture, doesn't own an ox, Lishkol Ture, he'll take double, he'll take 2. The Gemara here continues with different things about the cruelty and the foolishness of the people and the rishus of the people of Zdaim.
The one seems to be pushing that not only were they anti-tzedakah, but they continued in the negative.
You'll see this much more coming here. Dr. Gemara, the Ava b'Mavra, someone that had to pass through a river, a place where there was a lot of waters that it was hard to pass through. So in order to be able to go through, there was a tax or there was a toll. Neis of Chadzuzah. So he has to pay 1 zuz for this. The Loyava b'Mavra, one that is getting in and he's not going through this place, he's avoiding this. Nesiv Trey, he has to pay double, he has to pay 2. The Havale Dore, the Livni, now another thing, person that had a row of bricks, he was doing a construction project and he has this row of bricks that he's building with. So, Kol Chad V'Chad, Shakal Chad. Everybody came and took just 1 brick for himself, stole from him. And each one said, Amalei, no Chad de Shakli, I only took 1. I'm taking 1 is not a big deal. But then in the end he had nothing. The Havishadi Tumi Shamchi, a person that put out his garlic or his onions to dry, also Kol Chad V'Chad Shakal Chada. So every person of Stein came and just took 1 onion, 1 garlic. I'm just taking 1, and the person ended up with nothing. Now, who were the judges in the city of Zdaim? Arba Daini Hayib Zdaim. There were 4 judges in the city of Zdaim. Shakrai, a liar. Shakruroi, the liar of all liars, the source of all liars. Zaifi, a falsifier, or matzli dina, and one that tilts judgment, meaning he doesn't judge favorably or properly. This is the way they would judge. He's giving you, the Gemara here gives you examples of what kind of judgment there was in the city of Zdaim. The one that hit his friend's wife, and she miscarried because of this. So what did they rule? They would say to him, to the victim, that is, the husband, give your wife to this person, and he will make her be pregnant again, and that's how he will return the loss that he caused. He'll give you back this fetus. The pasuk leilo odne the chamra, someone that cut off the ear of his friend's donkey, the chavre, so the judges would say to the person, give him the donkey, adekatcha, until the ear will grow back. So this was their justice system. The padale lechavri, one that wounded his friend, amri lei, so they would say to the victim, havle agre, pay him for what he did, that he wounded you, the shakalach dama, because bloodletting is something that is a service, that is a healing. So the person wounded you and the blood came out, so you have to pay him for this. The ava b'mavre, someone that's going through a river on a ferry or on a bridge, yav arba zuzah, he has to pay a toll of 4 zuz. The ava b'maya, if he's not using the ferry but he's just walking through with in the water himself, yav tmani zuz, he has to pay double. Even though he's not using the ferry, he's just walking through, but he has to pay double, 8. Now, Zimna Chode, once that happened, Asa Ukaivis, there was this launderer that came there, Ikla Lahassam, he came to Staim, Amrulay, they said to him, Have Dalet Zuzi, pay us, you came through the river, pay the toll of 4 zuz. Amalahu, so he wanted to avoid this payment. He said, I didn't come on the ferry. I walked through in the water. Amrulay, if you came through the water, him can have Tamanya. The Avris B'maya, give us double because he went through the water. So Layoiv, he wasn't interested in paying this, didn't make sense to him. Paid double when he walked through the water. So Padyu, they wounded him. Aslaka made the dinus, and now he came to the judges. He thought he was going to get justice here. Amalei, and the judges told him, as the Gemara said before, Havle agre the shakalach dame. Pay for the fact that the bloodletting that they did for you, and also the tmanya zuz, the avres b'maya, and the 8 zuz, when you walk through the water, you have to pay. So this is the way things worked in Stein. So now here the Gemara brings regarding Eliezer, that came also to the city of Sdom, how he outsmarted them. Eliezer, Eved Avram, Israma Hossam, he also found himself in Sdom. Padyu, so they wounded him. So Asla Kamedaina, he came in front of the judges, Amalei, and the judges told him, not only do they not have to pay you, but Havle Agre the Shakalach Dama, you pay them for the blood that the bloodletting. So what did he do? Shakal glala padua iuledaina. So he took a stick or a block and he threw it, or he banged one of the judges and he wounded one of the judges. Omar. So the judge said, "My high, what are you doing to me?" Amalei. So Eliezer says, "Agre the nafik li minach." Now the pay that you owe me for the bloodletting that I did for you, havne lei lahai. You pay it for that person that you just said that I owe him for the bloodletting that he did for me. So pay him directly. Shabuda the Rav Nosson, yeah. And the money that's mine will stay with me. Another thing the Gemara says about Stein, this is the famous thing, that Havilu Puriyaisa. They had a bed. They gave a person, yes, in Sedaim, a place to stay, to sleep in a bed. But this bed was to have a magnila orchen, that the guest would sleep on it. Kimarech, if the person's body was longer than the bed, gaizile. So they would cut his feet. Kigutz, if he was too short, maschenle, they would stretch out his body. This was the city of Sedaim. Yeah, so this I saw somewhere that this is like a cruel version of communism. Everybody has to be equal, the same bed, the same length. So Eliezer Eved Avram over here also outsmarted them, and he didn't lie down in this bed. Eliezer Eved Avram ikla lahosam. When he came to Staim, Amrulei kum gane aporia. Here you have this bed that you could lie in. Amar lahain, he said to them, Nidre nadri. I made a vow min yom de misasima, from the time when my mother died, leganina aporia. I don't lie in a bed. Another thing in the city of Sdom, when they had a poor individual, everyone would give him a coin, a dinar, but because of Shmei, they would write their name on this coin. So it would be clear to know that the coin that this poor person has is not his, and that their name is written on it. So he couldn't get any bread for the money he had. And then this person had no food and he would die. Also everyone went and took his coin back. So it's not only they didn't give him, but this tremendous cruelty that they brought him to die this way. This is the conditions that they made amongst themselves. Anybody that will invite a guest to a chasana, lishlach glime. They will, the host that is inviting a guest, they will embarrass him. They will remove his clothing. So there was this chasana, ikla Eliezer lahosam, and Eliezer came to this chasana. They didn't give him any bread to eat. So he wanted to join and eat. So Eliezer came. He sat at the end. He sat at the end of the table, and Amrulei, they said to him, Man azmnach lahacha. Who invited you over here? So Amalela Huda Yosef. So he said to the one that was sitting right next to him, Atazamanton. You are the one that invited me. So now that person sitting right next to him, Omar Dilma Shami Beidana, maybe the people here will hear about this, that I'm the one that invited him. Shamu B, that is, they'll hear about me, the Ana Azminte, that I invited him, Umash claim money that I got, and they will embarrass me and remove my clothing, like the minig was, anyone that invites someone to a chasana. Shakalahu the Yasuf Gabe Glime Veroet. Lebra. So the person sitting right next to Eliezer took his clothing with him and he ran outside in order to avoid his embarrassment. And not Eliezer continued doing this. So then he moved up to the next person sitting next to him and they asked him, who invited you here? So he said, the person sitting right next to me invited me. And then that person also got afraid and ran out. So until all the people that are sitting there by this chasna all ran out. And he went and ate up he had all the food of the Suda for himself. And the final thing the Gemara brings in the city of Zdaim, Havia Ahi Revisa. There was this girl, the Hava Kamafke Rifte Laanya, that she would give bread for poor people. She did it in a way that they shouldn't notice, Bechatzpa. She would take it out in a jug or in a barrel. And Gloi Milsa, the people of Zdaim found out about this, that there's a girl that's giving bread to poor people. Shafyua Duvshe. So they poured honey over her body. Like Mua al Iger Shura, and they put her on top of the wall of the city, and Asa Zibura, and bees came, Vachlua, and they ate her, they stung her, and they killed her. And V'hainu D'chsev, this is what the pasuk says, when the Eibusher finally says he's turning over the city of Zdaim, Vayemer Hashem, Zakas, Zdaim, V'ameire, Kiraba. When it says Kiraba, you could also read it, V'amer Avyuda Marav, Iskei Riva. It's because of the story with this girl that died because of their tremendously cruel behavior. Okay, now going back to the Mishnah, it said, Meragle, Meinlam Chelik Loilam Abba Shanem, the pasuk says, Vayamusu, Ha'anashum, Maitziye Dibas, Ha'aretz Raba, Magefa. When it says here, Vayamusu, it means they died by Lam Hazeh, and B'Magefa means Loilam Haba. So regarding this, that it says that the Meraglim don't have a Chelik in Loilam Haba, in the Yerushalmi, it's not Geiris this. Yerushalmi holds that the Meraglim do have a Chelik in Loilam Haba, that the Midbar have a Chelik in Loilam Haba. The Rebbe brings this in a Sicha Barichis, Chelik Chav Gimel, Parshas Shalach, that even according to the Bavli, if you look back in the Mishnah, regarding the Doira Midbar, there's a Machlaikis. Rabbi Eliezer says they have a Chelik and Olam Haba, and the Rebbe teaches into the Mishnah that according to Rabbi Eliezer, even the Meraglim themselves also have a Chelik and Olam Haba. The next thing it said in the Mishnah, Das Kairach, Ein Lam Chelik Loilam Haba Shanema, but the Chasalema Aretz, when they were swallowed in the ground, they were covered. That's by Lam Hazeh. And then Vayev Dimitech Hakol, they were lost. That means Loilam Haba. Divrei Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Aleim Amar Akasav Hashem Meimusim Machaya. The Eibusher brings death and life. Meirit Sha'il. They went down. They were swallowed into Sha'il, but Vayol, they will be brought up again. So they do have a Chelik and Olam Haba. So here the Gemara brings the story, Barichas Gedayla, all the details about Kairach. Tana Rabbanon Adas Kairach Elam Chelik Olam Haba. Sorry, did I just go up a line? Or the Gemara brings this again? Yeah. Tana Rabbanon Adas Kairach Elam Chelik Olam Haba Shanem Vatchas Aleim Haaretz. That's by Olam Hazeh. Vayev Dimitech Hakol Olam Haba. Divrei Rabbi Kiva. Rabbi Yehuda ben Meseira Omer Harei Hein Ka'aveda HaMizbakeshes. When it says that the term Vayevdu, it doesn't mean that they were lost and they're gone. Aveda means like a person that loses something and he's looking for it. Shenema Te'isi Kaseh Oyved. I wandered and I'm like a lamb that lost its way. Bakish Avdecha, and your slave is looking to find Ki mitzvisecha lo shechachti, because I didn't forget my mitzvahs. So therefore, the people from Kairach, they did mitzvahs, and when it says Vayevdu, it means that they are an Aveda, that the Eibush is going to seek them out and return them in Olam Haba. Now, the story of Kairach is Vayikach Kairach, the beginning of the parsha. What does this mean? Amresh Lakish Shalokach Mekach Ra Latzma. Vayikach means he acquired, and he acquired something very bad for himself, as his ending was. Kairach Sha'asa. Now, the name Kairach itself means Sha'asa Karcha B'Yisrael. He brought a bald spot within Yidden. Ben Yitzar. So all these names, the Yitzar, the Gemara is going to dash, and even though these were tzaddikim, but nevertheless, when it's brought here in relation to Kairach, it's expressing the negative things about Kairach himself, which means Ben Sher Tiach Olav Es Kol Ha'olam, he brought anger upon himself of the whole world, Katzaharayim, strong anger like in the middle of the day. Ben Kahas means Ben Shehike Shine Melidov. He brought that the teeth of those that give birth to him are upset about this, that's the exact translation of Hikashinov. It's like it says in the Haggadah, Hakev Shinov. Yeah, same expression of those that gave birth to him. Ben Levi means Ben Shanasa Levoye Begehenim, a son of one that became a Levoye, was accompanied into Gehenim. The Gemara asks, why doesn't it go further to say V'lech Shavnami ben Yaakov? It should say that the yichus all the way till Yaakov. And you could darshan this also in relation to Kairach in the negative. The ben she'akav atzmei legehenim. A person that took his own steps, he himself brought himself into Gehenim. Amar Rav Shmuel, but Rav Yitzchak, Yaakov bikish rachmim al atzmai. Yaakov begged mercy for himself. Shenema, the pasuk says, B'soida mal tove nafshi, b'kahola mal techad kvaidi. That his name should not be mentioned now. But when it says B'soida, and their secret plots, al tove nafshi, that means elu meraglim. That by the meraglim, Yaakov's name is not mentioned. And b'kahola, when they gather together, al techad kvaidi, my honor shouldn't be mentioned. Zeh das kairach, and therefore it doesn't say Kairach's name here. Now, who else joined Kairach? Dasan and Aviram. So Dasan means she'avar al das. He was over on all mitzvahs, and al das kel, that is. Aviram is she'iber atzmai. He strengthened himself me'asais tshuva, to stop himself of doing tshuva. Now, who else joined him as well? It says Oyin ben Peles. The Oyin means sheyoshav ba'aninus. He sat and he was mourning for what he did. He actually regretted and did tshuva for joining Kairach. Pelas means shenasa leplois, that wonders happened to him, that he was saved from being swallowed into the ground with Kairach. And Ben Reuben means Ben Shera Vehaven. He saw and understood what's bad with all of this, and he separated from them. And here the Gemara brings the famous story about his wife. Omarav Oim Ben Peles Ishtoi Hitzilose. It's his wife that saved him. Omar Alei, she explained to him. She said, "My nafkalach mina. What are you gaining out of all of this? What does it matter to you? Imar Rabba Ant Talmida. If Moshe Rabbeinu is the teacher, so you're just the student. V'imar Rabba. And if Kairach wins and he's the teacher, so Ant Talmida, you'll also be a student. So either way, you don't stand to gain anything from this." So Omar Loi said to her, "But my Avid, what should I do? Havoi be'etze. I was part of the whole plan. Vishtaboili, or Vishtaboi, guess here's Vishtaboi, I swore my allegiance to them, Bahadaya, together with them. So how do I get out of this?" Amra Lei, she said to him, "I will do it for you. Yedaina, I know the Kula Kanishta Kadishta, they are all people that are holy people." It's there. The Rashi says they would snuim and kedashim, and the pasuk says Kikalei the Kulam kedashim. So Amra Lei, she said to him, "Tuv, you return, you go back. Da'anom atzil. I will save you." Ashkesei chamre. She gave him to drink wine. Varvise, he got intoxicated. Vagnise gavoy, she had him go to sleep and lie down inside the tent. And then Oisva al bava, she went and sat outside the tent. Visasra lamaze, and she uncovered their hair, and that's why she sat there. It's not called Asa. Whoever came Chazia and saw her, Hada, they went away. They didn't want to see a woman with her uncovered hair. Ad hachi v'hachi, and in between, her husband was inside and he was saved, and ivluluhu, and all the people of Adas Kairach was swallowed into the ground, and that's how his wife saved him. I think the Gemara will bring the continuation of the story. By Kairach, his wife had actually an opposite effect on him.